Good afternoon. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the September 4th, 2017 edition of The Bible Delight in the Details. This is the second of a two-part program on Mark 13, verses 30 to 31. A teacher of the law had come up to Jesus. Jesus had been speaking to lawyers and scribes, and apparently one of them had noticed that Christ was doing very well in his answers. Well, duh. And then he asked him the question, what is the greatest commandment? And Christ said, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And then the second greatest is to love others as yourself. There is no greater commandment. Now, we talked yesterday about the first of those, about how we are to love God with everything that is in us, everything that makes us up, with our will, with our mind, with our stamina, with our individuality. But today we're going to talk about this other part of this, which seems to have such great weight just very quickly behind the first one. We must love the Lord, but we also are to love others and love them with a certain quality, love them as ourselves. Now, what exactly does that mean? It is trying to get across the fact that, people, we do take care of ourselves generally, unless there's something wrong with your mind, unless you're having some kind of literally a mental problem. Most people do take care of themselves. They look out for themselves. They look out for their best interest as best they understand that. They try to take care of themselves. Much of it's very instinctual. It's the survival instinct, which is very, very strong in human beings. And I think that that's indicative of what Christ has in mind here, that your natural instinctive way of living and behaving should be that you look out for other people with the same passion, ferocity, enthusiasm, energy, and genuine concern that you look out for yourself. And it's interesting that, Christ didn't put any kind of conditions on that. He wasn't saying, and do that when the people are nice to you, or do that for those people that are exactly like you, or that agree with you at all times. No, he just said, love others as yourself. It's interesting to me that it doesn't necessarily say that we're to be subservient in the sense of that we are to not pay attention to our own needs. Sometimes I think well-meaning people can also go overboard on this too. God is not calling us to a life of complete martyrdom at all times. He's not calling us to be a doormat. He's not calling us to forget that we do have things that we need to accomplish, and we have genuine and correct needs ourselves that need to be met. He's not talking about that. You notice that he didn't say love them more than yourself, or love them beyond yourself, or take care of them greater than you take care of your own self. It's very interesting. He indicates like yourself. There's an equality there. And I think that's reasonable. That's something that you can get into with the Holy Spirit's help. You can get into genuinely being concerned about other people. But when you try to work yourself up into some weird idea of, I'm going to care about others and not care about myself at all. Oh, I don't matter at all. My needs don't need to be addressed at all. I think you get into a very strange state of mind, which maybe isn't even healthy. You can... I know that, my husband is very upset sometimes when he reads stories about missionaries who, give away all their food and then die. And he says, what good did that do? They were out doing good, and they should have kept a little bit of that food for themselves so they could keep on helping, keep on working. And I think that, there's something to be said for that. And there's also, a lot of people, well-meaning, trying to be very responsible parents and servants of God, and people who feel very responsible, maybe even in the business world, for their team, for their organizations. They can work themselves absolutely into the ground, and they think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens to me because I'm serving others. And while that's very, very laudable, it can be somewhat short-sighted. You must be driven by the Holy Spirit. You must ask the Holy Spirit to give you insight into where is that balance. How do you love others with the enthusiasm and the interest and the concern that you love yourself, and yet at the same time you recognize that you can't be a help to them if you are beaten down yourself, or if you do not take adequate care of your own physical and mental health. And so it is a beautiful balance that God is calling us into. Always first, our first inclination and our first duty and loyalty is always to God. But then also we are to reach out to our fellow man, and we're to think of them as being of great value as we are also valued, and therefore worthy of our time and attention. You know, if we could just live like this, if we just could surrender our will and surrender our concern about doing everything, in the way we want it to God, and we were just to say, Holy Spirit, help me live that out. Wouldn't you love to see how life could be? I tell you, it'd be paradise on earth, wouldn't it? If people really could live like this. And God says that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So let us ask God to help us do better in the way that we love. I'm J.Lenore Bressler, loving you and wishing you a very nice night. Join me again on the next edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Bye-bye now.